Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into something a little different today.
Definitely.
We're tackling patience, something I think we could all use a little more of sometimes, am I right?
Absolutely.
And lucky for us, we've got this awesome guide, How to Be More Patient. It's packed with strategies that actually go beyond just, sucking it up.
Yeah, I mean, who actually enjoys just gritting their teeth and bearing it?
Right. It's not exactly a recipe for a happy life.
No, not at all. One of the things that struck me about this guide is how it presents patience as a skill.
Oh, interesting. So not just something you're born with or without.
Exactly, like something you can actually practice and get better at.
Okay, I like that. So where do we even begin building this patience muscle?
Well, the guide starts with mindfulness, which I know can sound a bit, well, fluffy
Yeah, I was
sometimes.
going to say, sometimes it feels a little vague.
Right. But stick with me. It's really about noticing your emotions, like those impatient urges, without judging them.
Okay, so like if I'm stuck in a never-ending line at the DMV,
Exactly. You feel that frustration rising up. Instead of letting it take over, just acknowledge it. Simply, okay, I'm feeling impatient. That's it.
so just recognizing it.
Yeah. That simple observation can create a little space between you and the emotion. You're not suppressing it, you're just observing it.
So I'm not getting swept away by it. But how does that actually translate into being more patient?
Think of it like hitting the pause button before you react. Have you ever snapped at someone when you're stressed and rushed
Oh, all the time.
and then regretted it later? Mindfulness helps you avoid those knee-jerk reactions. It gives you a choice.
So I can choose a better response.
Mm.
That makes sense. Now, the guide also talks about shifting perspectives. What does that actually look like in real life?
It's about challenging those automatic thoughts. Say you're stuck in traffic.
The worst.
Right. Infuriating. But what if you use that time to catch up on a podcast you've been meaning to listen to? Or make a few calls?
So that frustrating delay becomes productive time.
Exactly. You're not denying the inconvenience, but you're choosing to focus on what you can control.
Okay, I see. Finding that silver lining. But isn't that kind of forcing yourself to be positive?
It's not about denying the negative, it's more like expanding your view. The guide actually shares a story about a woman who missed her flight because of a traffic jam.
Ouch.
Right. Total nightmare, right. But it turns out the plane she would have been on had mechanical issues. Her initial frustration turned into relief.
Wow. Talk about a perspective shift. Okay, so mindfulness, perspective. What else?
Breathing techniques.
Oh, deep breaths. I know those are supposed to be calming, but how does that actually work?
It's not just about calming down, though that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
When you take those deep, slow breaths, you're activating your body's relaxation response.
Which is?
Your parasympathetic nervous system. It's like your body's chill-out switch. It lowers your heart rate, blood pressure, and guess what? It improves your focus and thinking.
So I'm less likely to, fly off the handle when I'm feeling impatient.
Exactly. It's like having a secret weapon against stress.
I like it. A secret weapon. So it's about calming down, but also thinking more clearly. That makes sense. Now, what about empathy? How does that play into patience?
Empathy is all about putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Instead of getting annoyed when someone's moving slowly in front of you, try to imagine what might be going on for them.
Yeah, they might have an injury I can't see, or maybe they're having a rough day.
Exactly. And the guide had this great quote: empathy is the antidote to impatience. It shifts your mindset from me, to considering the other person.
I love that. Okay, so we've got mindfulness, perspective shifts, breathing, empathy. The guide also talks about having realistic expectations. Is that about lowering my standards?
Not exactly. It's more about setting achievable goals, both for yourself and others. If you set the bar unrealistically high, you're just setting yourself up for frustration.
Yeah, true. If I expect everything to go perfectly all the time.
You're going to be disappointed a lot. Instead of expecting perfection, aim for progress. Celebrate those small wins along the way.
That's a much healthier approach. And what about when things do go wrong, which they inevitably will? How can we be more resilient in the face of those setbacks?
This is where reframing comes in. The guide talks about seeing setbacks as learning experiences. Think about a time you overcame a challenge.
Yeah.
What did you learn? How did it make you stronger? Focus on the takeaways instead of getting stuck on the negative.
That's a great way to look at it. It actually reminds me of another point from the guide. Gratitude.
Yeah.
How does gratitude tie into all of this?
When you practice gratitude, you shift your focus away from what's frustrating you. You're shining a light on the good things in your life.
Right, even when things are tough.
Exactly. It's like a mental reset. It helps those challenges feel less overwhelming.
So important. Now, the guide also talks about the importance of having support.
Absolutely. We don't have to do this alone. Talking to friends, family, or even a therapist can make a huge difference.
Yeah, sometimes just venting about those frustrations helps.
It does. It helps you process things and move on.
Right, you're not bottling it all up inside. Okay, so we've talked about a lot here. Mindfulness, perspective, breathing, empathy, realistic expectations, resilience, gratitude, support. And I think the final piece of the puzzle, according to the guide, is daily practice.
Couldn't agree more. Patience is a muscle, and like any muscle, it needs to be exercised regularly.
Yeah, so it's not enough to just talk about it.
Nope. You got to put it into practice. Start small. Maybe it's being patient in line at the coffee shop or letting someone merge in front of you in traffic.
Or even just taking a few deep breaths before I respond to that frustrating email.
Exactly. Those small moments add up.
They really do. So what's the big takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with today?
Patience isn't some magical quality some people have and others don't. It's a skill, and anyone can develop it. By using these techniques, you can totally transform how you handle those everyday challenges.
Love that. And now, here's something for everyone to think about. How might consciously practicing patience actually change the outcome of difficult situations? Not just your reactions, but the actual results. And remember, even tiny steps towards building patience can ripple out and make your life and the lives around you more positive and fulfilling.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
See you next time.